climate change is a real global problem. We have seen changes in weather conditions across Zimbabwe as a result. Extreme heat, flooding, and drops in water levels have been recorded countrywide. What do we know about climate change? What can we do to deal with it?
Kids, come get some water.
Thanks, Dad.
Remember,
Thanks, Dad.
I told you guys to stay hydrated and keep drinking water.
Thanks, Dad. Dad, why is it so hot these days? And why does it keep getting hotter?
Because of global warming that is caused by climate change.
I don't understand. What is global warming? And why is it caused by climate change?
Well, sweetie, global warming is when the planet gets hotter and hotter. It is caused by climate change because of all the bad gases that are emitted into the air.
So what causes the bad gases to go up in the atmosphere?
Well, that's a long and more complicated story, which all starts with how humans treat our environment. Have you ever wondered why our seasons seem to become less and less clear? Why it's hot when it should be cold, and vice versa? Do you know what climate change is? If you don't worry. You are not the only one. If you do, unfortunately, you're one of the few. Before we even start, the first thing we have to acknowledge is that climate change does in fact exist.
Climate change is the change in average weather pattern over a certain period of time.
Climate change is the change of weather or the change of seasons. Like we have winter, summer, autumn, and spring.
Climate change is the change in the pattern of the weather or weather conditions.
Climate change is the changing of the weather for a long time. It takes about from 35 years to 40 years.
Well, climate change are any effects related to any weather conditions in a certain place, I think.
So first of all, we have to tell people what climate change is and what's causing it. And then you have to be very careful not to frighten people too much because it's a very scary topic. But if you terrify people, then they'll be paralyzed and they won't be able to do anything about it because it will just seem too daunting for them. So I think what's important is, if possible, to highlight the opportunities that climate change presents. And climate change does present some very positive opportunities. For example, communities need to learn to work together, and that's something that is just good for humanity, whether climate change is around or not. Also, there are lots of opportunities in the greening of the economy, which is something that we're going to have to do in order to prepare for climate change. So there are lots of opportunities for young people in alternative energy systems, in improved agricultural systems, in energy efficiency, in waste management. So I think that there definitely are positives and we just have to highlight those.
The problem isn't that people don't know about climate change. It's that some people don't even believe it exists. And if it does, they believe it is not of a significant threat. Now, make no mistake, climate change does exist. It is a serious problem. We see the damage it does every day, and it's only getting worse. But don't worry, that's why we are here. We're here to make sure that by the time you finish watching this, not only will you know what climate change is, but you'll know how to survive it. The problem is, sometimes even when we do know that climate change exists, we ignore it and think it's someone else's problem. The truth is, it's everybody's problem. Yours, mine, your sisters, your brothers, and everybody who wishes to have a bearable and livable future on this earth. We in Africa should especially be concerned because as a developing nation, we will mostly be affected by the consequences of climate change. The environmental damage will start affecting the economic and social aspect of our lives. With the increase of climate change daily, and the decrease of responsibility to try and lessen it, climate change has started a chain reaction that will have a domino effect on the Zimbabwean economy. Our economy cannot sustain the drastic amount of change that will be needed in the future to ensure that everyone in Zimbabwe will have the resources they need. And not just that, but we will become more susceptible to diseases because we won't have enough plants to deal with them. Other natural diseases like cholera and malaria will easily spread because of the growing heat and water shortages. We need to be aware of the things we're doing wrong and make drastic changes before our country turns into a desert.
It's hard to say what's going to happen. This is a difficulty that scientists have because we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. All we know is that it's probably not going to be very good. So what's difficult about preparing for climate change is you don't know exactly what you're dealing with. And as many people have suggested, Zimbabwe could have a lot of refugees, not just from outside our borders, but from within the country. So if people are suffering a severe drought or a cyclone, they might come into cities just for a short time to recover. Other people could come in for long term from, say, Mozambique or from Namibia or from Botswana. So really what we have to do is try and design our settlements to be very flexible. And we need to put in better systems now before we have the problem. So the systems that are really going to suffer are things like energy, electricity for cooking and for lighting, water supplies. We need to somehow manage our water better, conserve our water, because there are going to be a lot more people using a lot less water. Climate change means less water in the future. Waste management is going to be an issue because if we can't manage our waste now, which we can't, in future it's going to cause real health hazards when we get a lot of climate refugees. Shelter, we're going to have to think, we may have to relax or change some of the bylaws in order to allow people to build temporary shelters which are safe and environmentally friendly, but which can be put up very quickly so that the city can expand. I also think that we need to make spaces for urban agriculture because we're going to need to be able to produce food in cities. And if we're clever, we can use recycled water and recycled waste. I know it sounds awful, but recycled human waste in order to grow food. This is the kind of future that we're going to have to deal with. And maybe we're going to have to be a bit less squeamish about some of these things.
Climate change affects the natural vegetation, wildlife, water, and minerals, which reduces food supplies and raw materials. This will negatively affect the economy as there will be fewer goods to export and not enough goods to sustain the needs of the population. With the reduction of resources across Southern Africa, a majority of the people will be forced to migrate to Zimbabwe as it will be the least affected. And with an already struggling economy, the strain of taking in more will be unbearable. The urban areas will be affected the most as the population from the rural areas will move or migrate when resources run out. The impact of climate change will not only affect Zimbabwe, but the whole world. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change predicts that average temperatures across most of Africa will increase more rapidly than the global average. Rainfall over North Africa and other parts of Southern Africa will reduce by the end of the 21st century. There will be a change in rainy seasons and the continent will experience frequent and longer dry spells. Droughts, heat waves, wildfires, storms, intense rains, and floods will become frequent, causing damage to vegetation and human settlement. We might experience a reduction in quality and quantity of water for domestic and economic use. Not only will rain and water systems be compromised, soil fertility will be reduced and soil erosion will increase. Rising sea levels, ocean acidity, degradation of coral reefs will not just threaten coastal communities, but will also cause damage to fisheries. Climate change will affect the human and wildlife population. Herbivores like zebras and buffaloes may face extinction due to the lack of vegetation, dry water sources, and pest infestations. Humans will also be affected and exposed to many diseases and malnutrition.
Saka wakataza pamwaka wemvura watiri kutaura iye zvino nguva yatiri ino ndeyekuti mvura yedu inogona kuya 15 December ndoonekwa kutonaya mvura yekutonzi mvura 25 December. Kana kuti wakatoishaya 25 December unotozoiona kuma 28 December or 1 January. Ndo nguva inozooneka mvura kunaya kwayo kuti inenge yawo nguva mvura yekuita sei yekunwa zvirimwa muchaita sei amucharima. Ndo zvinhu zvinhu zvakuitika munyika ino. Asi dai iri nguva yaitwa cloud seeding taiona air rains, mvura yaikasika kunaya zvekuti vanhu vanga vasikacheme kuti izvinhu zvikwane climate change and so on, kana kuti ana El Nino and so on, because varungu vanga vakazvimwarira kare kuti izvinhu zvaifanira kuitwa sei kuitwa. Because takada kutarisa, let's say unge takatasa unge in Mozambique. Nana Mozambique akuitwa ma cloud seeding. First rain yao vaiona 15 December, vakajamba kwa 15 December, it means vanotozoona 15 January. Pa 15 December, sorry. 15 December to 25 December. Saka kubva ipapo mvura inonaya zvikunaya zvezve. Asi inozokasika kuita sei kuenda. Zvirimwa zvavo zvinhu zvaita sei zvinenge zvaibva. Asi wakazotarisawo dzimwe nzvimbo dzinenge dzisina kana mvura. Ndo zviri kuitwa futi zviri kuitika muno muZimbabwe.
For one to understand climate change, you have to break the word into two. Climate as in the average condition of the atmosphere over a long period of time, and change the transition from one point to another. Therefore, climate change, we are dealing with the study of the weather over a long period of how the weather has changed over this long period of time.
Climate change inini simazivira angu inini kuchinja kwemamiriro ekunze, like weather conditions, like kuti seasons, like kudhara mvura yaimbotanga kunyanya kunana October kana late September, but right now tikuona kuti kwachinja mvura yakuna kutanga kana November. Saka izvi kuranza kuti change yakati climate change iyoyo, kana kuti tingati futi manairi aisita chaizoti rainfall mamillimeters emvura anerekodwa payeka pa season anga akawandisa than izvezvi. Saka ndo climate change iyoyo.
In the Paris Agreement, which was signed last year, Western countries did agree to help put finance in place to help developing countries to adapt to climate change and also to implement sustainable development. The type of finance, though, was what was contested, because it's all very well saying we're going to lend you money, but why should we be lent money when the problem was caused by developed countries? Surely they should be paying for the damage that they've caused. So this is the big justice debate, the climate justice issue. I personally believe that Western countries should take responsibility, not just for climate change, but for all of the problems that they've caused in developing countries, starting with the slave trade, with colonialism, and now climate change. These are things which have helped the West to become rich at the expense of developing countries. So yes, I do believe they should pay. Whether they will or not is another matter.